Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, a business strategist, a real estate investor, a speaker, and also a best-selling author. Every single day, I have the opportunity to help others unlock the potential and guide them to succeed. More often than not, I see people not reaching their potential, not taking action because they have this missing link. Whether it's a podcast, a connection, a perspective, a story, an interview, whatever it is that would help them reach over that hump. And that's why I have this show, so that once you watch the show every single week, you will unlock your potential, maintain that level of success, and then also find that new peak potential and achieve things you've never even dreamed of. Today, I have a very exciting guest. He is somebody I met 2 years ago at an event. He has this driving force to win, a wonderful mindset, which isn't surprising because he is the expert in high performance mindset training. He's a coach, he's a speaker, he's a trainer. He is the founder of Up My Hockey and Up My Life. He is the gold medalist in the World Junior Championships. He is a professional athlete. So please welcome Mr. Jason Podollan.
Wow, thanks. I should hire you to get you to do that for me at every event.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your time and being here on the show.
No, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah. So for people who don't know who you are, could you give us a quick little backstory of who you were, what you did, and how you became a success mindset coach?
Well, yeah. Okay. Quick version. Growing up, from a young age, I wanted to be a hockey player. So I figured that I was going to play in the NHL, and that was what I wanted to do with my life as I knew it. So from about the age of 8 on, that was my pursuit, was to try and get to this hallowed ground of the National Hockey League, and I ended up being successful in that. I did play in the NHL. I played for 4 different teams. I ended up having a 10-year professional career, which are all great things and things that I was proud of, but kind of connection between that and what I do now is that I didn't have the success that I maybe felt that I should have, or that I dreamed of, or that I wanted. So the 41 games, like I say in my own podcast, Up My Hockey, is I thought there were going to be 1,000 games, right? So the question is, where is that blank space between the success maybe we want and the success that we had? So I realized through a lot of work, whether that be personal work, development work, or whether that be reading or reflection, conversations, that the big piece is the mindset piece, and that mindset piece is a big word that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I think there's a lot of mindset skills that fall underneath that. But yeah, that's just really my message, that it takes more than talent and hard work to be successful. You need to have the right you need to have the right perception and the right perspective on what you're doing, and that was maybe what I was missing in my career as well. So now I'm helping younger guys who want to follow in my footsteps and maybe have greater careers to achieve their own personal greatness.
Well, that's awesome, because what us as fans, and I love watching hockey, and one of my goals when I was very young was playing in that big game, but that wasn't the path for me. So so you've achieved a lot of great success to just be in the NHL, and that's just a great achievement in its own. Now, looking at some of your information and your website and whatnot, there was that big trade that happened to you, and something like that, as fans, we usually forget about the emotional stuff to it, the human aspect of how that business works. We just think that you can plug and play and have somebody just show up and perform. Now, how did you deal with that situation, and how did you use your mental kind of capacity to adjust and work around that kind of challenge?
Right. Well, yeah, it's a great question. That's that is a pivotal point for me. And one of the areas where I think I could have done a lot better. Well, I know I could have done a lot better. In saying that, I'm also proud of the way I handled it, even though it wasn't to maybe the best of my ability. I think the resources I had at the time, I was doing quite well. When you consider yourself being a 20-year-old man, most of your listeners, I don't know how old they are, but I assume that we were looking backwards when we're thinking about what we were like when we were 20. To have a phone call like that, where you're moved from the city you're in, the house you're in, the people the environment that you're familiar with, and in 2 hours you're in a completely new environment with one bag in your hand, meeting new work colleagues, new people that you've watched playing on the TV your entire life, have never met before, new coaches, new city, new this, new that, and now you're dealing with reporters and expectations, and you're supposed to just automatically be able to perform. So there's so many things happening outside of the game itself, that is really, obviously, that's the most important thing. Can you perform? But there's so many other things and so many other aspects that are involved in that happening. And that year for me, not only was that trade there, I ended up playing on 4 different teams in 4 different cities all the way across North America at 20 years old, right? And finding new apartments and finding the places to get your groceries and how to do your laundry and all these other things, making friends, teammates, and trying to get the trust of your coach. And there's just so many aspects of trying to be the best you can be that go outside the realm of, like what you said already, like what the typical fan would notice, right? You're just, all they see is you being on the ice, right? They have no idea what else is going on. So that's one of the things I try and do, is prepare people for the opportunities that maybe they're yet to see, that they're yet to have. So they're the most properly prepared as they can be, most available to themselves to step in the best version of themselves in that moment, right? Because we've already thought about these things. We've already prepared for what might be happening.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things you mentioned during your videos was that you were actually in the taxi, in the car, and you're listening to reporters talking about, oh, this person's coming in, this person's going to be the future. And then you also have that other side of things where, oh, this person's not very good, and they're not going to be able to achieve this kind of success and all kind of stuff. So if you were to go back in time and talk to yourself at that moment in time, how would you prepare yourself to go, okay, you have the negative feedback, you have the positive feedback. How do you kind of maneuver around that mentality?
Yeah, that's a great question. At the time, I would have done a better job of preparing for where it is that I knew I wanted to go. I think to start that off probably from that point. So I had just been let go, sent down from the Florida Panthers, however you want to put it. So I'd played 19 games with them. I think I was 2 games into being down into the minors, was there, had my, sleeping in bed for a game that night in the minors. And I wasn't thinking about the NHL, or I wasn't thinking about, what it would be like or what I needed to do when I got there. I was thinking about where I was, which is fine to think that, but you also got to be really prepared to step into where it is you want to be and the type of person you need to be there. So I think I would have been doing more about thinking about where I wanted to be. And then as far as managing the experience, I would have probably asked the guy to shut off the radio in that scenario. That's one specific environment, because again, what is that doing for me? It's not really doing anything for me. At least at the time it wasn't. I wasn't emotionally mature enough to be able to really handle someone tell me that I'm great or somebody tell me that I'm not great, right? I need to worry on what I needed to be able to do, which was focus on that next game against the Philadelphia Flyers and how Jason was going to be able to show up on that ice prepared and ready to do the best job that he can do. And when I'm thinking about reporters, or I'm thinking about what Matt Sundin thinks of me, or what the coach thinks of me, or any of these other things, it's completely irrelevant to what it is my job is. So I think my focus, and anyone's focus for that matter, whether it's in sports or in business, is super relevant, right? What are we trying to achieve? Remember what that is, and really put your blinders on to anything else that's not helping you achieve that result.
Exactly. Trying to keep all that negative feedback outside, not worry about it, and just kind of focus on what you want to achieve. Now, how did you find your second calling to become that mindset coach?
Well, through corporate business, I found out that I was good with people, and that I had a natural penchant for wanting to help, and then being able to help people through their own issues, maybe their own belief system, to be able to step into a different version of themselves. So I found that really gratifying, and I enjoyed it, right? For me, it was well, what better thing can we do here than help people feel good about themselves and be prosperous and step into better versions of themselves. So that was my first step in that, having 200 people underneath me in a hotel and restaurant chain. And then I started getting involved in sports again. My boys started playing, and then I started being involved in hockey, which was essentially all I knew, right, up till the point of 30 years old. And realized that, being a parent is an interesting thing, and being a father and trying to be a good father and a good role model kind of coincided with the idea of this personal development in these young little guys that were underneath me, and realized that, hey, I'm pretty good at this too. And then, you tie in the fact that I had an education in the School of Hard Knocks of 20 years that not many people get, right? So now I had a background in hockey. I'd been through the ropes. I'd been through the ringer. I'd achieved some really good things and thought I could achieve more. Now I realize that, hey, I'm good at helping other people and being able to share and communicate my story and how to help them with some of these new age scientific findings that have happened since I've retired, that can support people. And, yeah, and I just felt it went in line. And from a business perspective, I think one-on-one is the way of the world, like the future. That's individualized attention and support is the future, whether it's in sports or business or anything, I believe. So I was like, let's give this a whirl, and it's been really positive, like helping parents and helping young athletes be better. Like it's kind of like a no-brainer, right? Like it's such a fun space to be in, right? I don't approach this as therapy. There's nothing wrong with anybody. It's just, how do we get better? How do you get better tomorrow? Right? We
Always
don't
continue to grow.
Yeah, you don't have to think that you're broken. You don't think there's anything wrong. Like a lot of my clients, I endorse people to come to me when there is nothing wrong. Like that's the best time, right? Like let's not try and solve any problems right now. Let's just try and figure out how to get better. Because when you're armed with the tools and the support to be able to handle whatever adversity is going to come, because there is going to be adversity, promise you, right? Everyone sees it. Everyone goes through it. How are we ready for that adversity? How are we prepared to be able to deal with that? So, one of the things I always say is, it's tough to prepare for the storm during the storm, right? So, if we can start thinking about those things when things are good, that's great, and be armed with some tools and some support systems that are going to help you when the times do get tough. So, anyways, long-winded answer there. I apologize. I just love helping. It's the space that I was meant to be in. I think the fact that I was able to look back on myself and reflect on what could have been for me, and be able to offer that as a way to move other people forward. I think that's the way the world works, right? Be able to provide with our own experience.
Right. Now, you mentioned about preparing for the storm, doing things to improve yourself, even though if it's not broken. So during this time where everything's kind of locked down because of COVID and all these, where you have to stay at home, lots of people are just sitting there thinking about, okay, I'm just going to wait this out, or hoping that something comes and helps them out. What are you doing differently right now that gets you better prepared when all this stuff is lifted?
Well, what I'm talking with my clients about, same thing. How am I getting better? What is this? Where's the opportunity in this? Those are the questions that I try and ask is, when we go down the side of this is hostile, this is bad, we start looking for problems, and guess what our brain does? It gives us answers, right? Well, this is what's wrong. This is where the problem lies. This is where your excuse is to not move forward. Whereas if we can ask the other side of the question, which is, how is there an opportunity here? Why is this a gift? What can I do today that's going to position me to be in a better spot? Our brain answers our questions again, right? Like we need to reframe scenarios, and I think there is a big opportunity here. Maybe it's harder to find for some than others in different businesses. I know for mine, the pivot wasn't too hard, because it's like, what better time to be working on your mindset as an athlete than right now? When you can't be in a gym, when you can't be on the ice, when you can't be doing these things you're normally doing, it's the perfect opportunity to step into all these areas that need development, and you probably have been overlooking. Yeah. So for me, from a business standpoint, it hasn't been that hard, but it's challenging from the sense of kids are home, my wife's home all the time. Like my normal flow of the day is not normal, but I've just been trying to embrace that aspect of how are we all getting better. We're being outside more. We're trying to be collective with our mobility work and our strength work, and getting into, discussions that matter, because we have times we have the opportunity to do it, So again, I think it's a reframe on what is in front of us. It's what you choose to have the inputs to be. We limit our news coverage. That you can only take so much death and destruction and peril, in a day. So we try and fill our cups up with something that's a little bit different, and just really have that focus on, hey, what's today going to bring? Where's the opportunity here today? And you'll get answers, and then you got to follow through on them.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned about family, you mentioned about being at home and having kids around you. One thing I've noticed about your workout videos now is that you're involving the kids, you're involving the family, and it looks like you're having a lot of fun. And how do you find that boost up your energy, get you more motivated by having your family involved with the stuff that you do?
Well, I think being a parent is the greatest gift in the world, because it gives you, motivation outside of yourself. Everyone has down days, and we need to find those reasons and those, the meaning to maybe persevere and move forward when it doesn't seem to be the easiest. And for me, like having 3 young sons that are sitting there, they don't care what kind of day I've had or feeling. Like they want to go out and rip, you know. And I'm like, well, I'm a big believer, even in my coaching practice, let alone parenting, is that, I mean, don't say it, just model it.
Mhm.
You know, try and model it. So, you know, I try and make fitness a big part of my day. I try to make healthy eating a big part of my day. I try and make meaningful discussions a part of my day. And, you know, when you kind of control what you feel is a priority, and don't force it upon anybody. Like my kids want to work out, right? They want to. Like I hurt my back last week. It's limited me. My oldest son, he's 10. Like he's doing his own workout program on his own because he's seen what it feels like to do that. He knows what it does to him, and he wants to take responsibility and accountability to his own development, right? And that's where I think the beauty of it lies, is because it becomes intrinsic, right? It just becomes a way. It becomes a standard. So, I mean, if you can live a standard, others are going to adopt it. I mean, that's the biggest motivator I think you can have, is just being an influence and an example for other people.
Right. Now, as an athlete, you've worked under a lot of great coaches, and then you did a transition into entrepreneurship and business. Did you have a coach of your own, a mentor to kind of guide you along from the entrepreneurship side? And then the second part of that question is that lots of people understand that coaches are important in athletics, but they don't understand that they need a coach for business success or entrepreneurship. Why is that?
Well, first part of your question, you know, my dad was a big influence. You know, he's the one that built his own company and started with zero and ended up with 5 hotels. And, you know, he had his version, you know, of entrepreneurship, which is important. I mean, I've always been, I considered well-read kind of in areas that interest me. So a lot of times my mentors aren't real people in the sense of real people that are sitting across the table from me and having a coffee, but somebody that exists in a book and their ideas. So I'm a big advocate of that. I've always been a real curious guy. I have no problems asking questions. I have no problems saying that, hey, I don't understand this. Can you let me know what you think of this? I really encourage that with everybody, to ask, to be curious. And as far as mentorship per se, outside of that, no. I mean, since I became a coach, I have hired my own coaches.
Mhm.
I do believe that's important. I mean, especially if I'm asking somebody to invest in me and that I'm going to be a benefit, and I say, well, no, but I don't need anybody myself. I don't think that really flies, right? I think we're always in a scenario where we can help. The question is finding the right person. I think, you know, finding that person that resonates, finding that person that helps you in an area that you need support. And yeah, I mean, the greatest ROI in the world is investing in yourself. I mean, I firmly believe that, right? Investing in your own personal development is a huge thing, and it's a hard thing to do, though. You know, in a lot of realms, spend money on ourselves and how we think we might be able to get better. It's not a tangible purchase, right? Like you're going to the computer store and buying. You leave with a computer, you know what you got, right? When you invest in coaching, it can be a little bit scary for people, but I really encourage people to look at that, to find somebody that they resonate with, they're comfortable with, and to explore that option, because I know it's tough to get it done. The accountability side, the focus, the clarity required, to have somebody that's going to stand there with you and believe in you and to point you in a direction, help you assist getting that thing done that's been hard to do. You know, like there's massive value there when you form the right partnership. So yes, I do believe in coaching. I do it myself, obviously, and I do invest in it for myself as well.
Right. Now, with regards to, I know you have the Up My Hockey and Up My Life. What is the main mission of both of those platforms that you have right now?
Well, Up My Life was my first foray into coaching. So that was more a health and fitness level of coaching. Some might call it life coaching, depending on, you know, what term you want to put around it. So I did that for a couple of years, and it was mostly focused on men's health. So I was dealing with men, middle-aged men, kind of in a similar situation of what I felt I had gone through, you know, this midlife kind of idea of what's next, kind of, and your body starts to change. And so I was supporting men in that role. And then from there, I moved up my hockey, which I said was more of an evolution, and the perfect evolution for me, because it got me ready to do what I do now. So Up My Life is not something that I really focus on anymore. That was more my starting point. So it is my 100% of my focus on Up My Hockey now, about the mindset, skills, and foundation required to get people better and to support them through that. And yeah, I'm securing clients now. It's been a busy time for me, and I've developed a Facebook group, a private group for parents that has over 750 members now. That that I just provide value for and try and help them navigate this journey called hockey, for whatever age group they're in. And I just try and serve the crap out of them, for lack of a better terminology. That's really what I do. I just try and I'm not worried about dollars and cents of things right now. I'm just kind of just the way I've been in general, right? I'm just like, do a good job, serve people well, be authentic, be real about it, and good things are going to happen, and so that's sort of where I'm at right now. I do have a course that I've been providing for free during that group called Mindset 101, which I'm really proud of. It's the first part of this 8-part series that I've developed. So right now I'm offering it to members of that group for free. I just released actually that training online at upmyhockey.com for anyone interested. You can go through that by yourself, or it can be guided by me with some group coaching. So I'm always trying to improve my content, trying to offer more. Doing my podcast as well, Up My Hockey, where I'm actually speaking with Ken Holland this week. So I have a great network of people that are accessible to me, which I'm very grateful for, and providing value through that. So my goodness, between that and the 3 boys here homeschooling and wanting to play football or something every second, it seems like my day is always full, which I'm happy and grateful for as well.
Oh, that's great. Being busy is always a good problem to have.
Yeah, well, exactly. As long as we feel we can manage it, Like I do think sometimes we can be addicted to the busyness almost, right? Like we feel if we're not doing something that we're in the wrong spot, which I think that's been a lesson for me actually through this, is allowing some space. Like space is nice and space is beneficial. It allows perspective and it allows, focus on what it is we're actually trying to do. So that's one of the things I've matured with, and I try and get my clients to too, depending on where level they're at, is to allow that space for yourself to be able to understand your purpose, your journey, what it is you're doing, why you're doing it. All those questions really matter. So I've been grateful. We live in a great spot. The kids have been great and really receptive to the conversations. My wife, I think, has enjoyed this. So overall, this COVID thing hasn't impacted us as negatively as it has other people. And, I'm very aware that it has impacted other people significantly, whether it be their business or their family or, a death, heaven forbid, with some of these people. But, I do think there is still opportunity for everybody. I think there is a way to move forward and to provide a little clarity at this time. So you can reinvent yourself and come back somehow better and new and improved.
Right. Now, you've offered a lot of great advice, a lot of great tips. If you had an opportunity right now to stand in front of the world and you have the next 2-3 sentences to spread your message, what message would that be?
You get to choose the meaning of your experience.
Awesome. Thank you. Now,
I guess that would be it.
Now, before we let you go, I have some very quick one-word questions for you, just to have some fun and get to know you a little bit more.
Sure.
Okay. What would be one extreme activity that you can't wait to try out?
Extreme activity. Well, I have thought about 2 things: rock climbing, free climbing, which I'm not strong enough yet, and also skydiving, which I haven't done. So those would be probably the 2.
Awesome. If you were in the Summer Olympics, what would you like to win the gold in?
100-meter.
Awesome. Fastest man. Someone you would love to meet.
Geez, that's such a big question. Super cool question though, because there are so many people in so many different realms, right? Does he have to be alive?
No.
I'd probably go with let's go with
You got
Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. Okay, great. So now you have Thomas Jefferson at your dinner table, and you have to serve them your most famous dish. What would that be?
My most famous dish, probably a good Canadian steak with steamed spinach and some roasted beets and a salad from our outside deck garden.
Well, awesome. Home cooking and homegrown.
Yes.
And finally, I'm going to ask, what is success like? And I have some random items on these pieces of paper. So I have 5 items here. If you give me a number between 1 to 5, I'm going to say that item, and you're going to tell me success is like this item. Because as entrepreneurs, you have to think fast on your feet.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand, but I probably get it. So I'm going to guess a number. You're gonna read something off that card, and I'm going to tell you how success is like that.
Yep, 1 to 5. Pick a number.
5.
So how is success like a turtleneck?
Success is like a success is like a turtleneck because sometimes it can feel like it's swallowing you up.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So success is like a turtleneck. Now, if anybody wants to get in touch with you and know more about what you do and connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Oh, well, thanks for asking. I'm usually not very good at the promotional side of what I do. I always forget that part. But no, my website really explains a lot about what I'm about, www.upmyhockey.com. So UPMY hockey.com has my services on there, kind of my backstory. If you're a hockey parent out there listening, I do have that Facebook group online. It's called Up My Hockey with Jason. It's a private group that you can request to be a part of. And you can follow me on Instagram at Jason Podollan. And I have my podcast, which I mentioned already, which I interview some great people talking about perseverance, high performance skills, what it's like to make it in the world of hockey from all different aspects. And that's, again, you see the connection here. Up My Hockey is the name of the podcast. So, I'm in all those spots and would love to people to engage and check me out. It'd be great.
Great. Well, thank you once again for your time, your stories, and being on this show. Much appreciated.
Fong, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm really humbled and appreciate the opportunity and to be a part of this program.
Great, thank you. And for everybody else, thank you very much for watching the Peak Potential Success Show. Until next time, today is the day to unlock your peak potential. See you later.
Awesome.